Well, after today, we'll be halfway through the Formula Endurance season, through the first ever season of this tier. Welcome along, folks, to round number 6 of endurance racing, and it is Hungary we're at tonight for the action. We're glad to have you all here. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and again, he joined me in Portimao 3 weeks ago when we were a fourth of the way into the season. Now we're halfway into the season, and welcome along once again, JNT. Good to have you.
It's JT. You're all here for me. You're not here for this. You're not here for Ryan. You're here for JT.
It's okay.
Everyone loves me. I'm the best. Hi everyone. How you doing today?
Well, the question I have for you is, how are you doing? How are you doing?
Pretty
JNT?
bad after what happened in Monaco yesterday. I'm going to be honest, but we're going to put it behind us. It's all okay now, and we're going to commentate this race at Hungary.
I agree. We have had 5 races done so far, 5 different winners, 5 different pole sitters, and only one driver has been on the podium more than once. So we'll see how tonight turns out to be. Headlines, standings. We'll go over standings later on. Headlines, though, we'll go over that now. We've got Zach, full-time now in the Red Bull for Formula Endurance after his first start last week. Alex Griffiths had his contract terminated for Formula Endurance. He only did the first round. Leighton is now full-time for Haas in this tier. You have Josh on an Aston loan. Zatsy's Formula Endurance contract terminated. Stanners making his RPL debut, I believe. First in this game cycle, at least, if he's done so before. He is a Ferrari reserve, and he is racing for them tonight, I believe. Yes, he is. Dom, as well, FRC Dom joined us in RPL as well. An FRC driver here tonight as well. I believe the second or third one. Maybe fourth one if I'm including Knights in this list. At least of the new drivers here, I believe second or third one. So he's racing tonight. He's going to be alongside Zach for Red Bull. Both of them are mates, so we'll see how that ends up turning out. Josh H. I mentioned he was on Aston for loan. Well, he's making his Formula Endurance debut. One other driver making their Endurance debut is Jackster. Jackster 20, he ended up having a chance for a podium in the Tier 2 race, most recently here. Taken out with George on the last lap of the race. Didn't go to plan. So there's your headlines, changes, penalties for tonight. No penalties to be served, so everyone has a clean sheet for this one. JNT almost looks like a full grid compared to last week when we had 16 for the running.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I'm not in the lobby to see how many people there are.
Oh, yeah, need to send you an invite. Sorry about that.
But I agree with you regardless, because there's more people.
It is, and we'll see how it ends up going. I think we're about to ready up, so make sure you quickly press spectate when you join.
I've been given advice by a close friend that I was mumbling too much the last time I was doing this, so I'm going to use my outside voice this time. Hopefully, that makes it a more awesome experience for the viewers.
Alright, make sure you press spectate before it puts you in a car, though.
Oh, yeah, probably.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yep, 70 laps on board with us tonight. That should be fun. We'll see how that ends up turning up. We have Stanners in the chat. Welcome along. First ever race here. We'll see how your debut goes. JNT, I've been told your Pookie Gecko is in the chat. Invade, welcome along. Good to see you all.
Gecko's in the chat. No way.
Yes.
I love that guy. That guy's cool. He gives me setups.
Yeah, that's true. Part of Ferrari Academy. So, throughout this weekend so far, we had Tier 2 end up in Saudi Arabia with a very big shock with a Williams back on the podium in RPL. Remember, it's a realistic performance league for those of you not aware, so Williams on the podium. That's very rare. Also, since we're speaking of rarities, Beatnik usually gets that one rare podium a season. He got that last night, or not last night, sorry, 2 nights ago now. It's not last night anymore. 2 nights ago in Saudi Arabia in Tier 2. 6 straight seasons with a podium. And we also had as well a win for Bonkers. Red Bull back on the top step in Tier 2. A little bit of a struggle for them since the ending of Season 10. They're back on form. Tier 1 in Monaco. Safety car free race last night due to it being turned off on accident. Cookie won over Scyther, and then it was Restainty who took 3rd place. An interesting qualifying session and a very I don't want to say hostile race, but a very non-boring race to say the least for Monaco standards yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. From what I saw, it was pretty eventful, I think. There was some drama, that's more than I think you'd expect for the average Monaco race, especially with no safety cars. So, there's that.
Absolutely. So, qualifying about to get underway here. Like I did say, 5 different pole sitters this season. Can we get a 6th? We'll find out. Drivers making their debut tonight include FRC Dom, RPL debut. FRC Stanners, RPL debut. And Formula Endurance debuts include Josh H16 and Jackster 20. We'll see what those drivers can do. Josh last night had a really good showing in Monaco. We gave him driver of the day for his good performance. Rightfully deserved.
Was it P5? Was it
And now,
yesterday?
yeah, it was. I think it was P5 or P6
It's
on
a great
his
drive for
return.
him.
And he's used to driving the Ferrari. He's on loan tonight for Aston once again. Maybe once the transfer window opens, I believe next week, we'll end up seeing Josh maybe transfer over to Aston Martin. I did hear a little bit of talk about that, but if he were to do so, they'd have to get him from Jack at Ferrari. So, around the circuit, it's very tight. It's like Monaco without the barriers being too close, but not lots of space to overtake. We'll find out what does happen for this race tonight. But J&T, I'm going to give this first lap to you to cover with Valkyrie F1 in the Williams for tonight's event. Her best ever qualifying does come outside the top 10, but it does come with her and the fake TB from round 1.
Tried to find her. Remember at Monza, she did pretty well. As we go down in turn number 1 in the Williams, obviously, you're not really going to expect as much downforce down there in turn 1, but she looks like she kept it pretty tight, kept a pretty neat line. Obviously, this is turn 3, you got to keep it pretty tight on the inside so you can get the nice cutback for the exit on the curb, and that is a pretty decent sector 1 in the Williams. Got to really send it through turn 4. That is probably the most important corner, I'd say, on the racetrack to get right on these qualifying laps. And she keeps it within the lines, which is pretty important. Through this little chicane, you got to really ride the curves to get the most out of the track, out of the lap time. And through here, it is pretty much a roller coaster section. If you are not on point, you will lose maybe 2-3 tenths if you do not hit all your apexes. And she looks like she does. Very tidy lap. It's looking like the first 2 sectors. Again, using a lot of the curve through sector 3. This tight hairpin here is a pretty difficult corner out of traction. But she looks like she gets it down. This is a pretty good lap. As we come through the final corner, let's see what this lap is. It is a 1:17.2, which in a Williams in the start of qualifying, I don't think it's too bad.
I agree, not a bad banker. Remember, short qualifying here in endurance compared to full qualifying. Behind that, there's a Ferrari on a lap. It's HSR Gecko. We'll watch him.
As Dom.
FRC Dom, 14.9.
Goes to
yes,
the top, 14.9.
we'll get more drivers clocking in times, but here comes Gecko through turn 3 now. This inside curb right there, you got to be careful of because you can get nabbed for track limits on it. Same with the outside one. Turn 4 right here, a lot of raceable surface off the track, but also track limits will be a big factor in this race. Also, we're going to keep talking about it because the chicane is the next trickiest spot for track limits. Easy place to make a mistake or go a little bit wide there. You have more drivers clocking in time, such as Jack in Shanghai, but now the S section, which you can easily mess up, and a very tricky spot to race side by side in. If you race side by side in these areas, you're going to lose time, so you got to make the most of it. Sector 3 we come. Last couple corners. Again, can pull some dive bombs here. Will be tricky, but I doubt it will happen for the most part. We have Gecko, final corner now. Lots of different lines you can take. You can go slow in, fast out, or fast in, slow out, and it's Gecko coming across the line fast enough to go second place.
Not a bad lap from Gecko, I think. It was pretty tidy, although I did see in Sector 3 he did bottom out a little bit on the curb on the first corner in Sector 3, so that may have hurt his lap a little bit. But still not bad from him. 15.3 is a pretty quick lap.
Got Stanners. Debut. On a lap now for Ferrari. Turn 2. Looks okay. Looks a little wide, though. Turn 3 now. On that inside curb, that's exactly where you want to be. You don't want to ride too much of these curbs because it can spin you. But 27.2. Turn 4, a very tricky place to nail it just right. Turn 5, that inside curb is one you want to stay away from, so go toward the outside curb on the exit of the corner. The chicane, which is easy to have to use the runoff when you're racing side by side there. You can come to collision. It happened in the last ever F2 race around here. And now the S section, where you could easily get caught out by traffic. The Ferrari Academy teammate, Jack Miles, I believe, getting out of the way. So that's good for Stanners that you have your team principal out of the way on your debut. But your first ever lap here in this league should be one that shouldn't be too good enough to push it and crash out, but good enough to prove to the other competitors that you can be faster around here. And I think he did just that, J&T. He's second fastest ahead of Gecko.
Yeah, and I think there was even more in that. The first 2 sectors were absolutely rapid, but in Sector 3, there was some understeer I saw picked up through a lot, basically 2/3 of the sector. So I think there's even more time in that. Maybe Stanners could maybe challenge for pole today. That'd be pretty interesting.
Hunted ended up winning in Tier 2 the last time we came here at the circuit, and he won by a staggering 17 seconds. Now, I don't doubt he'll get pulled by 17 seconds, but can he at least get this McLaren up there on the grid? He's had a bad stretch of races besides the podium in Spain. He will be 4th on our grid for now. That benchmark lap was not bad at all.
Especially for McLaren, which I'd say probably in qualifying wouldn't go as well around here as some other cars, in my opinion.
Speaking of McLaren and their Academy teammate car, Knights put it 5th fastest. He's on loan for them.
That's a great lap from Knights in the Alpine.
Let's see what others can do. It's not at all. And you know what? They do have a podium in this tier. 7 of 10 teams now have podiums, and they got one with Scyther last week. Let's go on board with Scyther, who's going to take a very wide entry to set himself up for the lap now coming out of the final corner. Your podium setter 4 times this season will try to go for pole for a 2nd time this season.
It's always interesting to watch laps from Skits or Scyther, whatever you want to call him. It's really because the level of driving from him, it's so high that any lap from him is just so special to watch.
The overtaking he does as well, I always look out for that with him. But now he comes through the sector split. No lap done so far, so this will be the first one. 27.4 on that inside curb, using it to his advantage. Turn 5 now, staying away from the inside part. Going to go to the outside part. Don't want to go to the yellow part, though. Now, keep in mind, he does have 2 cars in front of him. This is a circuit where you will run into traffic, so if we do end up seeing someone submit an incident where they were blocked or felt like they were blocked, I would not be surprised one bit. Final corner of the sector. You can easily go wide there and lose your lap time due to track limits. Right here, hard to mess up in the braking zone, but could be one you go wide in when you're racing your competitors. Now, penultimate corner looked okay from Scyther. There are lots of lines you could take there too. Same here with this corner. So that's what's so good about this circuit with the variety of it, even though there's not a lot of overtaking. But now to the line for Scyther. It will be 7th fastest. We know there's a lot more time left in that lap, but to at least see him in the top 10 on his first lap is something that's expected. And now we go to Owen, the Irish driver.
Owen now currently P6. This is his 2nd run as he slams on the throttle up at turn 1. That was pretty crazy from him. As we go down, I believe this is turn 2, right?
Turn 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is turn 2. You got to keep it tight, then a wide exit so you can pretty much launch off into turn 3. He does it. He is a 10th up, which I feel like is a great first sector from him. Got to keep it tight to the inside so you can really try and use as much of the exit as you can, but he messes it up a little bit, but keeps it tight enough. Looks like a pretty tidy lap from him so far. Let's see how it develops through sector 2. Looks like he's clipping all his apexes. Ooh, a little too early. Little too early on the turn in there. That'll hurt the lap, but he's currently a half a second up, which is
well
pretty good.
That's impressive. That is impressive.
That would put
and
him.
He's won already with this car. And Tier 2, trying to do so with FE. It's not his full-time car, but the main Mercedes guy was not here, so he's taking over, and he's going to take over another spot on the grid.
That's a 15.5 from him. That puts him a 10th off Luke right now.
Who do we have next on a lap? Or starting one? We've got Mythic. Slowest of them all right now. He got a podium here in the last ever F2 running of this race. We'll see what he can do for Haas. Got a McLaren coming across the line. I think that was either Scyther or Hunted recharging. I think it's Scyther recharging. May have felt that first lap was not good enough to where you may as well use this set for another one. Turn 1 is an easy place to go wide, mess up, make mistakes. Turn 2, you can take variety of lines here too, and it's a really good section to race wheel to wheel. And same with turn 3, this is where it starts to get narrow and you have to go to single file. Mythic is up by a 10th. He needs to improve by a 10th or more if he wants to find up a place on the grid. Now, just to put it in perspective, Mythic, not one of the fastest drivers here in RPL, does have some chance in top cars, such as Red Bull on this game cycle already. He's had a chance in AlphaTauri full-time in Tier 2. Now he's gone to the Ferrari Academy for Haas. And he's not scored points since that Mexico race when he was in the Red Bull reserving for them, although he was full-time in AlphaTauri at the time. The fact he's improving by 7/10 right now does show two things. One is first lap was not that great, and second, track evolution is going to be vital around here.
Thing though, you got Scyther right behind you on the lap. This is the second lap, and you think it's going to be held up a little bit by the half, but not too much, I don't think. About a half a second improvement from McLaren, and Mythic goes 13th fastest.
Mythic improves, Scyther improves, both good sights to see. Next on our laps that we're going to start is FRC Knights. He was full-time in Tier 2, can't make those times anymore. Yellow flag for an AlphaTauri around, that is Blue Goggy. But Knights can no longer make Tier 2. He's making Tier 1 full-time, signed with Haas full-time for them, and he's on loan to Alpine tonight. Here's turn 1. I'm going to give it to you by turn 3 or 4 here. I will have to put food away. So to not eat before this up until now. But Knights comes through turn 1 and turn 2 with the two DRS zones right there. It is a very easy spot to make overtakes on those straights. Might be the only ones we see spots to overtake. Turn 3 and 4, the only other spots I see as easy overtaking opportunities. He is up on the time, but J&T, you're going to tell us if he can continue to be up on the time by Sector 2 split.
Through into the chicane, through this lap, the Alpine looked like it's really on edge. He's had to wrestle the car just to get it to do what he wants. And right now he's on the knife edge of what the car can deliver, and he is staying right on it through Sector 2, pushing it to its absolute limits. He is about 2/10 up going in to Sector 3, clipping the curves absolutely perfectly. You'll love to see it from the Alpine, using the outside curve to turn in to that little hairpin there. Really great use of the track. Now keeping it tight on exit of the final corner. This has been a pretty decent lap from Knights as he goes 8th fastest with the 15.6. That is a great effort there from Knights. I believe Gecko is not on the lap. He is on this in lap.
I'm back. I'll figure out who's on a lap. Let's see. We got Shanghai joining back the session. Got someone who just improved. That might have been the Aston. It was the Aston.
Josh, yeah.
Yes, it was. Josh, up to 10th here. And by the way, some good stuff around the circuit for him. He actually won his second ever RPL race around the circuit. His first came in Canada, and then his second came here with a different team. And now that he's with the Ferrari Academy, he has a chance to do so this season around the circuit in Tier 1. But who knows? Maybe transfer window can change that. Maybe he doesn't do it with Ferrari. We'll find out. We have on a lap. Let's change to someone else. FRC Knights is on an in-lap. Belk, you said nope. Wavy. Yep, Wavy is on a lap. Let's see what Wavy can do. The only driver not to have a time in this session. He has had some decent pace around the circuit. F2 proved that, but not the finishes. And 14th place for him alongside his good mate Josh tonight. That's not terrible, but the fact is, he's not slowest anymore, and he can have a chance to improve if he just recharges once again.
Current moment in time, we got nobody on a lap. Been downtime. Something that
I
we
think we could
usually
tell
get
people
here
at
at a couple
standings, maybe.
$30.
Yeah, I mean, we can
Yeah.
tell people at standings then. Chat, there's 5 of you watching. Time
That's
to
like
give
a
some
new
predictions
record.
then. Now, FE doesn't always get the, amount of people, which is okay for viewership. I think Jack, the tier coordinator, said as long as people are watching, and I agree. I agree with the same thing. So standings, let's go over this very quickly, and then we'll get to a lap. I think we'll get one more lap, or one more hot lap at least. So here's the standings for FE. You've got Scyther after that race in Monza, now leading the championship over Jack Miles by 39 points. Gecko, 2 DNFs the last 2 weeks, 43 points back. Then the constructor standings has Ferrari out in front by 25, and Red Bull is back from McLaren, who are second by 2 points. Now we go to a lap. It is RSF1 Invade. He He invalidated the first lap that he had, and now, or not the first lap, the first lap that he was going to have, then got a lap in, and now he's looking for a good last lap here for AlphaTauri. He will be the first one across the line, and then we get everyone else to come along with it, who will end up having their last lap with it. You see 3 cars right there in a gaggle, trying not to get blocking penalties, but also trying not to impede anybody either.
What is happening?
That almost ended up in a collision. A 10th up for Invade, so we're going to see what he does here through the chicane. This area as well, easy to spin out in. Then you're going to brake past the 50-meter board, or let off, depends what you want to do. And then this S section ends up being a little bit tricky as well. He's got a couple more cars to get through, the Mercedes being one of them. The Mercedes is going to get in the way, I think, just a little bit. That did compromise Invade's line. However, Invade does not care. He's still improving. And he has said that RPL is one of his leagues where he just does not get the results in, but he feels like he shows pace in it. And AlphaTauri being the slowest car in this game, this circuit not helping it whatsoever. Let's see what he could do. Can he improve here and not be last in this session? He will improve, and he will be 14th, so that's some good hope. Mythic's retired. He's out. Next across the line will be Zach. He gets a lap in, and then we have others to try to cross the line to see if they can get laps in. Everybody is trying to do a last-minute dash, and there's so much traffic in the last sector.
Yeah.
And out is Owen. Out is Owen. Owen's made a mistake, and he's crashed.
Not very unfortunate for him. He was down on his lap in the first sector, and I think he was trying to push to maybe recover some of that time, and he's just pushed it a little bit too hard.
Lugagi, will he get to the checkered flag in time? Yes, everybody's got a last lap in the Ferrari. Also gets a last lap in Stanners. Next across the line, waving knife. I don't think he was trying to do a new lap, but he does improve. He is 13th. And that's a little bit better than where he was. Next across the line, it's going to be Gecko. Gecko can improve. Gecko is only going to have to settle for 4th and needs to make sure his championship rivals Scyther and Jack both do not improve. Speaking of Jack, we have an Alfa Romeo coming across the line. What can Jack do? Can Jack make an impressive qualifying effort? 10th place, not too bad from him. Next is the Red Bull. It is Dom on debut. Gonna continue to improve on the time. 4.9. He holds on to pole for now, but can he hold on to pole for the rest of the session? We got Luke Grange coming across the line. He's a previous winner here in RPL. It comes in F1, and he's going to come 3rd to the line. Next is Hunted. He aborts the lap. Next is Yano.
On his lap.
That's very vital. He was 4th in the times. Yano only improves to 12th. Next would be Knights, improving by a little bit. Also coming across the line is the other Alpine. Then comes Scyther. Scyther 7th. Then the Aston to Josh. Josh does improve to 10th. Then we're going to look for our 2 guys who can improve for pole. Zach's looking like he's out of it. Stanners looking like he's out of it as well. I think this is going to be a Dom pole on debut. The second FRC driver to improve on their time on the last lap and get pole position on their debut 2 weeks in a row. Last week it was FRC's Zach, which gamertag is AERT. And this week on debut, it's Dom. Red Bull 1-2.
The Red Bull war has commenced as they are both on the front row. And we'll start 1-2. It's going to be really interesting to see them. Both pretty new to the league. Up at the sharp end.
For those of you wondering, Zach did keep the win last week after he did mess up his braking point. He pulled a 15-second gap. He was penalized 15 seconds. But he pulled a big enough gap to hold on for that win. He's going to be starting 2nd behind his mate and now teammate for tonight, Dom. It's Dom and Zach, the top 2. But I have to give credit to L74G with that qualifying effort. You know, he's done really well around the circuit prior, so it should be no surprise.
Oh, that's who
but
that
the fact
is.
But the fact of that matter, yeah, Luke Grange, good qualifying effort, the
Oh, no,
highest
duh,
PC
it's
driver. Yeah, exactly. Here's your qualifying order. You got 2 Red Bulls, a Merc, 2 Ferraris, 2 McLarens, an Alpine, a Merc, an Aston. I think the big surprise of that session, at least in lap time, should be FRC Knights from that. Then further back, outside the top 10, watch out for Jack Miles. He's top 3 in the championship. He's got good races, maybe not so much good qualifyings on his hand. Wavy Knife starts outside the top 10. That's a top car in Aston Martin. Jackster as well could not get the lap time in. He's 13th. And Blue Goggy, last of everybody, but he's not last by a long margin. Those guys want to get points, and if they can do so, that'd be greatly appreciated from their team principals.
As we load into the race, it is cloudy. I don't know what that means. Might be rain.
I don't know if anyone said about any rain. We'll see. I'll check now. I did get pinged that I didn't check it. Alright, Scyther gave me a heads up. 70 laps. Fuel. Alright, let's see. No, I don't see any chance of rain. I'm gonna ask, though, to be sure. Just a reminder, folks. ERS you gained back in the pit lane tonight, 17%. So you don't want to use a whole lot of it. Hard to save some around here, too. And you lose 20 seconds in the pit lane, and there is no rain for tonight's event.
Dang it. I feel like in this league there's not too much wet running, which I guess for these guys is pretty good since you can't practice in it.
FE has not had too much dry running. You've had a lot of rain. You had wet qualifying last week, and then 2 races where it was mixed conditions. So yeah, I mean, everything outside of FE, you're exactly right.
It's all being safe, FE. All the rain. It's the rain tier.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true. Well, drivers making their last-minute adjustments to fuel, their setup, their strategies. Expect either a 1-stop here or most likely a 2-stop. Could be very likely.
1-stop. It's crazy talk out here.
Medium hard though if it's a 1-stop. I'm hearing.
Is that actually a viable option?
It is, but it's going to be hard to get it the full way with it being 100% and have it be the faster strategy. We'll see. We'll find out. Well, bowling pins is what I'm hearing. Trouble in turn 1 in real life, 2021, and even previous seasons. Can they avoid the trouble as the lights come on? And it's go, go, go. The Hungarian Grand Prix in FE is lights out. Off the line, Dom and Zach, they're going to be side by side for momentarily, but Zach slots in behind, and now he's going to use that momentum for turn number 1. Both Ferraris side by side, both McLaren side by side. They almost come to contact, but it's Dom now battling Sanders for second place. FRC really helping out their drivers tonight, going side by side and making the most of it. This time, it's on a Red Bull. Dom having this place contested, almost contact now, going to be wheel to wheel through turn 3. That's tricky to do. Knights and Owen in the background too. Everybody looks to be clean so far up until Blue Goggy.
It has been an absolute shocker of the start from Gecko, who I believe was 4th on the grid. He was slow off the start, then really terrible.
Yes.
He's down to 9th.
4 places. He's the big loser on the start, and Dom lost 2 places from pole position. Zach was the one taking all the pieces that he needed to for Red Bull, rather than Dom on debut. And the 2 drivers on debut running 2nd and 3rd right now. Let's see what they can do throughout the rest of this race. Everybody still remains within a second, all the way up until 16th place. And pick your braking point wisely, because you don't want to end up like Zach did, your race leader, last week, where you end up running in the back of your rivals and getting yourself penalized.
Something to note here, the 3 leaders are on softs, but the next 3 cars behind them on mediums. Definitely some splitting strategies here as we have a mix of tires all throughout the field.
Shows that the 2-step will be effective, but now we have ducking out. I think everyone trying to pick their braking point, if you have a line on or not. Some guys under fueling. Josh is one of them. They got to be careful tonight and hope for some safety cars. Invade is the one in the trouble zone right now. heading to the pit lane, likely repairing damage, and he is repairing a front wing. The only one to do so from lap 1, but now Gecko wants places back on the grid. He was trailing Owen by less than a tenth for a moment, but now the one who's closest for a move is now FRC Stanners for the race lead. He has to,
it's a little
right off the track.
A little bit off of turn 5. That's what you gotta be careful of here.
I was just about to say he has to make this work and make it work to perfection, considering you want to be the highest soft runner out of these 3, or everybody else included, including Yano and Knights, out of those 5, because you don't want to lose any time in comparison to those guys, because you're likely on the same strategy, and I'm expecting more guys to do a 2-step than we thought.
Yeah, yeah. 2-step,
well,
yeah.
Positions gained, positions lost. Big winner, though, from the start. Stanners. He's the only one to gain 2 places. Everyone else who gained only gained 1. DRS now unable.
Yeah. If I'm Dom, right, I gotta be thinking now, how do I get back up? How do I pass this Ferrari? How do I try and get back to the front? Because he was 2 tenths clear in qualifying, and now he's kind of on the back foot behind these 2. I'm really interested to see if he can get maybe even back by these 2, or if he's gonna be a little lacking in race pace.
We got to move further on back. It's Mythic going to go down the inside of Shanghai. This is outside the points. They're trying to find a way to get to the points, but banging between the 2. That's not going to help your chance to get to points, but I think they remain single file now after that little skirmish.
As expected, because the 3 leaders are on softs and they are in, arguably the 2 best cars, you have a bit of a breakaway from the top 3, and then you have Luke, who's leading this train from about 4th to 9th on his mediums.
I will say that DRS split between Dom and Luke is expected when you're on the soft tires. However, remember, those tires will start to die off soon once it does become the crossover point between the softs and the mediums, which does approach, I would want to say around a lap 10 to be exact, maybe a little bit later. However, Dom, fastest lap there from 3rd place. His teammate Zach continues to extend the race lead by just a little bit. Not too big of a margin, but DRS now further on back. We got a couple trains forming in between this field. We're going to see who makes the most of it. But on the run of turn 1, I think the only one maybe making a move here or wanting to is Mythic. But nothing made from it. The only one who's going to look now on the driver in front of them is Hunted. Hunted had a sneak on Luke, but he's not going to do anything with it. He has to tuck in behind and stay there. There's really not been many overtakes on the opening laps. Everyone playing it safe, playing it calm, and still all 20 runners still left in this race as well.
And I'd say pretty calm few opening laps for at least standards of RPL. Dom goes very wide of one of the corners. Very interested. Is that a warning? There was a warning for Dom and standards on that lap. Yeah. That's going to be a little bit interesting to note. Penalties is not something you want to have too many of here.
We spoke a lot about track limits in qualifying. You can't repeat this in the race. I mean, if you have it happen once or twice, that's fine, but use your warnings tactically, not use your warnings up. And now, Standard's losing DRS to Zach, and here comes Dom. Dom is in DRS pursuit, but I don't think it's enough for an overtake. The one who could be overtaking now will be Hunted, and now we see Knight's actually the one who's going to overtake, or be overtaken by Owen, excuse me. He loses 1 place, Owen up 1 place.
So does complete the move. Hunted
in Shanghai.
Hunted is absolutely hounding Luke right now.
Yes, he is, and he needs to, because if those soft tire guys are not the ones going to be challenging for the win based on strategy later on, it's between Luke and Hunted then. And Jackster and Shanghai having a little ding-dong battle for a moment. That was the only battle that lasted more than a corner on the circuit, but it's Shanghai's place now over Jackster.
As God, he gets the first penalty of the race with the 3-second time penalty for track limits.
It's definitely not helpful. He's at the very back of this grid, along with his teammate. But it's very good to see that at least he's still in this race in comparison to, I believe, what was the Tier 1 race where he exited that one quite quickly the last time they ran here.
Something to watch
So
down on the main straight here. You got Hunted closing in on Luke, but he goes a little wide. I don't think that's going to be a move.
find out if Hunted is close enough to hound up Owen, or sorry, Luke, excuse me. But further on, back behind Owen is the move being made from Gecko and Knights, and a little Constantiner effect checking up Josh and Jack to take evasive action. Further in front of that, I was about to say Hunted and Scyther was going to be a move on the main straight, but it wasn't.
Close quarters racing, though. A lot of trains, a lot of very close encounters here and down in the turn 1.
And similar to Spain, these Alfa Romeo boys just always keeping it close to the points. They might not have the car on pace to fight for this, but a track like Hungary, a track like Spain, it does randomly suit their car good. Now, as the driver, you got to make the most of it and make the most of your competitors' mistakes. Jack did that in the wet at Portimao, taking a podium.
Absolutely sensational that was. That was a great drive from him for Portimao.
Still, DRS train between some of these guys. You got Knights forming one now that he's gone away from Gecko. I think these soft tires will start to degrade pretty soon. That is now a 4-car train with Owen, Scyther, Hunted, and Luke. The ones on the run to turn 1. Dom is still close with Stanners. Stanners and DRS, but not anywhere close enough for an overtake.
Speaking of tires, Stanners up there in the Ferrari. Because the softs wear quicker than any other tire we have here, Ferrari's tires are going to degrade probably much faster than they otherwise would compared to the other cars around it. Because the Ferrari tire wear is notoriously terrible, as most of you know.
Which is probably why you're seeing Gecko lose out to Owen, or at least Owen gains so much on Scyther compared to Gecko. And there was a move on the main straight. We did not forget about it. Josh got the upper edge on Knights. That is for 9th place. Knights on softs, so his tires will be degrading. And so will his confidence too. And I'm sure confidence will be degraded even further for Stanners, who has just picked up a penalty. Our first driver inside the points to pick up one. He has been a bad, bad boy exceeding track limits too many times.
Oh, you said Stanners got a penalty. I just zoned out a little bit. That is huge.
That's right in between both Red Bulls, and if Luke somehow got himself in 3 seconds, which he's almost in, he would be on the podium right now. Net podium, as of the current moment.
Stanners,
McLaren teammates.
Oh, whoa! Stanners almost hits Zach for the lead, and that's going to allow Dom to get to the inside side by side, leading up to turn 2, both with DRS. And Stanners, wow, close there, but he keeps the position. That was almost really bad for Stanners there. Oh,
finally, this race is heating up. 2 battles. You had one right up there that you caught my eye with. Thank you for that. And then Scyther says, thank you very much, Hunted. You're a teammate, and you raced me clean tonight for that spot. It's now mine. 5th place is Scyther's now over Hunted. That's the second net P2 place for guys on mediums. And you're right, Stanners did cost himself. And speaking of costing themselves, Shanghai in the penalty club, 3rd one tonight. Only 8 laps in.
That train from 4th to 9th has broken up. You got Gecko 2 seconds back from Owen. Josh 4th with 2 seconds back, but notably, he's trying to break away from Jack Miles right now, which would be pretty good for him. It would give him some free air to work with.
Whoa, Hunted's been tagged! Hunted's been tagged by Owen.
Yup.
And that's him around.
Very costly. Very costly.
Yes, it is. I think Owen may have picked his braking point at the wrong spot, and it cost him. And now a McLaren is going to pick up the pieces, considering the teammate ended up being spun. It's now a McLaren on a Mercedes. It is now Scyther for 4th place, and Knights also in this battle with Yano. I spoke about both Alfa Romeos doing well and going to pick up the pieces if something bad happens. Well, now they got both cars in the points, and Knights trying to hang on to 11th place for the Alpine Academy that he's on loan with over Wavy. He does do so for the time being, and now we go to turn 4 where he will keep the place fully for sure.
Back more about Hunted, it looks like he did keep it out of the wall, which is good news for him.
I think I did see the end of it. I think he did clip the wall a little bit, but he kept it without damage to your point. A little
Oh,
side by side
little
at the
bit off.
chicane.
Ice went off a little bit.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost
And now
him spot
Hunted
to
takes
right there.
advantage. You're correct. Yes, Hunted needing to do just that once again after that contact. Hunted unlucky once again, as we said. You know, we spoke about the misfortunes he's had in Tier 2. He had some misfortunes yesterday in Tier 1. And unlucky again here tonight in FE.
So now, because of that little incident between Hunted and Owen, Gecko has now reclosed up to this DRS train, which is a huge blessing for him. He was 2 seconds off these guys. Now he's back in this train. He can pull away from the cars behind, maybe get himself back into this race for P4 if Owen can stay within DRS of Luke.
And Blue Goggy is going to need to get back in the session somehow. Hunted also up one more spot. It's on Wavy Knife now. He will take the places on. And yeah, Blue Goggy is one who will need an invite. If you can handle that, that would be lovely. But this Red Bull sandwich for Stanners, not beneficial at all. However, soft tires aren't dying too badly just yet, because they are keeping a consistent gap over Scyther. But now Scyther almost pulled out of DRS of Luke, so now it's Scyther's race to at least challenge, considering he got Hunted, he got Luke, and now he's got the top spot for the guys on mediums.
Gonna be pretty exciting here on the main straight, I think. I think Jack might make a move if he's close enough on Josh. And Hunted is absolutely hounding Jono. John, I don't know what to call him. He is right on him. He's right on that Alfa Romeo. He wants those positions back. He is absolutely driving anger right now.
For these top 3 spots, remember, if you get your braking point wrong, you can't end up like Zach last week. I know he spoke about it. I don't want to give the guy too much stuff for it, but Zach has ran a clean race thus far, and here goes Hunted over Yano. Now, this is for the last point spot. It now becomes his, and Gecko and Owen, little wheel-to-wheel combat here for turn 2. How about keep it for turn 3? Side by side, Owen going to remain on the inside line, and then it will become the outside line for the next corner. Gecko hanging on. Owen going to hang on around the outside. Gecko clips the curb. And that is what prevails. Owen ahead from Gecko clipping that curb.
Wow. I don't know how Gecko didn't spin out right there. Anyone else probably would have, but great car control from the Ferrari. That was really, really close quarters. Some really risky racing, only 7th into this race.
You said you don't know how Gecko didn't crash. I don't know how he didn't force Owen off track from that. Owen was right on the edge of that curb. That is some good racing there. And now Owen needs to do everything he can to catch back up to his teammate Luke. And we have an issue. Stanners now ghosted and behind FRC Dom, making it a Red Bull 1-2 on track.
You think he had a screen freeze?
Maybe. There's a chance. I mean, he is on Xbox, so I doubt it, but still can happen.
Yeah.
Just very rare.
Flags?
Yellow flags. That is for
Valk, I
Valk.
think. Yes.
Said she was loving that Williams, but probably not so much now. Owen down the inside. How about attempt number 2 at this little battle?
Side by side again into turn 2. Ferrari inside, but it's going to turn to the outside. Owen's going to have the preferred line down here, and it's going to be side by almost contact. Going to be side by side again up the hill. But Gecko thinks better of it this time, and he lets Owen take the place.
Little pinch there from Owen, but that was right on the limit. And into the pit lane as well is Valk. She is the first retirement of this race, and Owen uses the runoff and almost comes back out in front of Gecko dangerously, but he does remain ahead, Owen does, after that little misfortune from him. Lap 12 of this race now. With that being said, about to become lap 13, where those soft tires are dying. They are dying because Scyther is right in DRS now, Stanners.
Went off a little bit. Sorry to interrupt.
Once
It's going to be another close one in turn 1, I think.
Let's see what happens between these two. Up in front of that, Scyther is right on the back of Stanners. And now Scyther in prime position to take it away. Here's Gecko on Owen.
Has the slipstream, going to go to the outside in turn 1. He's going to get there. He's going to try the switch back down off of turn 1. It looks like he's going to get it done as Scyther gets by Stanners in the Ferrari on his medium tires.
He
Nothing comes of the get-go battle.
covered him off, Scyther did. I just caught the end of that. He just absolutely pulled the squeeze there at turn 2 once he realized he was ahead. And now, these mates, Zach, Dom, and Stanners, well, they're going to be facing the American driver of Scyther and the multi-time champion throughout F2 and Tier 1.
Sorry for interrupting you so much, but this race
You're good, don't worry.
has been extremely eventful. So many things happening at the same time.
It has, because the first 6 laps seemed very snooze fest-like, and Valk said to me, don't fall asleep. Well, in the last 6 laps, I definitely haven't fallen asleep at all, because it's been more exciting, and you're exactly right. Now, give DRS to 2nd to 4th now. They're within a second of our race leader, or the car in front of them, too.
Just checking track limit warnings, and I can tell you that Owen in his Mercedes is on 2 right now.
Hold on. Gecko is trailing Owen, but not for much longer.
Oh,
he's going to pull the dummy down the inside. Gecko goes through momentarily, but Owen will come back through on the inside line. He's now going to pull the squeeze at turn number 2. And Gecko, with that inside line that Owen didn't give up fully, is going to take that to its advantage. But the inside line works perfectly for turn 3. And now for turn number 4, they're still side by side. Owen out in front.
Man, these two, they're giving us a show, aren't they?
Add another driver's name to the penalty club. I believe it was an AlphaTauri. It might have been Invade.
Because of this battling between Owen and Gecko, you have a new player possibly in this battle. Josh H. in his Aston Martin is almost within DRS range of these two.
If you didn't want to have any more battles, well, you're wrong. You now have more battles in this race. And also, Scyther has gapped Stanners to where Luke is now in DRS of him. And that's costly because the 3-second penalty, and he is in. You're correct.
Don't speed. It's never something you want to do in these 100% races, or in any race that matter. But it's
can be costly at this track specifically, and is easy to do.
I believe those are mediums, yeah. Looking possibly soft, medium, maybe? I'll have to see.
Here is 5th place up for grabs still. Gecko is closer, but not close enough to make the overtake. And further on back on the main straight, 15th place, Mythic, holding on over Knights. Knights around the outside now. Has the faster car for Alpine, but does prevail on the outside line. Neat little move there.
Pretty easy move for Knights, who has really not had the race that I think he wanted to have. I believe he started up there in the 8th position. Just not has had the start he's needed. He's down in 15th, over a pit stop behind the leaders.
Find out what happens then. Dom opening the door for Scyther to make a move if he wanted to. Since Stanners came in, I do expect those Red Bull guys on those soft tires, and especially Yano, a Ferrari-powered car, to come in very soon. But now, Shanghai with another track limit penalty to his name, and Scyther's not close enough for a move in turn 1. The Red Bulls do remain 1 and 2, and Gecko, I don't think he's going to remain behind Owen much longer. Does he pull a dummy again? No, he sticks to the outside line, holds his ground there, then tries to switch back, but Owen cuts him off just enough to remain in the 5th place spot.
These two have been playing a cat and mouse game with each other almost the whole race. Gecko gets really close to the gearbox of that Mercedes off of turn 2. Playing some mind games here.
Just want to remind you folks that next week for racing, we're covered with Tier 2 in Britain, Tier 1 in Spain, and Formula Endurance goes to Miami for the first time. Oh, mistake!
Oh,
mistake from Gecko! And more of one!
To get through.
Absolutely plowing the polystyrene board. And he's going to lose out to Jack Miles here soon enough, because now he's just lost 4 seconds from that error that he had on track.
That was a really costly mistake for Gecko. That is going to take him right back out of the race that he got himself back into.
Battery being used from Dom. Likely going to pit this lap because he's not used a lot of batteries so far this race, and now he uses it up in the main straight. Zach also conserving battery quite well compared to Scyther. 44% for the McLaren American driver, and now the McLaren American driver is going to go around the outside.
Let's see if he can hold it. He might try the switch back. He's going to have a great run down here through turn 3, but I don't know if he's going to have the real estate to really get that done, and he doesn't.
Also, Owen now has Josh in DRS for good measure, which he's out of DRS from Gecko by a long margin still. Now, Gecko, add your name to the penalty list. Fifth
His
different
race
driver.
is really not going well right now. The last couple laps.
I mean, he does have a DNF in the last 2 weeks. He can't afford it tonight, especially with where Scyther's running. And now, Wavy Knife, he's another one on that penalty list.
Unfortunate for him, really. He's not doing too bad right now. He's sitting in 10th, which is the net 11 because Stanners obviously is boxed. But I believe he is up from starting position, so not bad at all from Wavy right now.
Yeah, Wavy definitely deserves that, especially with the way his Tier 1 race went yesterday. He had some good pace in that Williams, especially around a track like Monaco where it's the slowest car, and he had nothing to prove for it. And now today, running P10, even though he has a penalty, he is proving something. Red Bull still remain 1 and 2, and now Scyther had a little sneak at turn 1, but cannot do anything from it. Stanners, fresher tires, fresher places that he's gaining. Also, Red Bull with their 1-2 running right now, I need to mention, as Hunted makes a move on Jack. 11 podiums in Tier 1 around the circuit. That's how good they are. Let's see if they can remain 1-2 and take 2 for the team tonight by the race end. Here is Wavy Knife with a little scrap with Stanners now by turn number 2. Stanners is going to stay ahead.
Stanners obviously trying for a big undercut here, hitting a lot earlier than the Red Bulls. So I wouldn't doubt that he would come out as the race leader after the Red Bulls box.
Don't give him any ideas. Here we go. Red Bull train with the top 3. I'm expecting them to pit here in the next 5 laps. But the question is, what tire will they go to?
I guess
A lot of
mediums.
choices. A lot of choices. Yeah, mediums is a possibility. Could you try to go the rest of the way on your hards? Maybe not, but now, before thinking a strategy, you're going to have to think of how do you hold off Scyther, and Dom doesn't really do much to fend him off because I think he realizes it's the crossover point. And here's Scyther picking up second place. Into the pit lane is his teammate Hunted, and also add Yano's name to that list as well.
These Red Bulls, I think it's time to box for them. They're just giving us, I think, too much time right now. And Scyther will inevitably pass Zach, even maybe possibly on this next lap here, because the tires, I don't know, I think the tires are done for the Red Bulls.
Yeah, they're going to be blistering soon enough, you know, and I think Yano was kind of your, I guess, comparison, you could say, in terms of the latest you should come in. And Dom, compared to his first 2 sectors previously on his best lap, he's lost 2 seconds. So, yeah, he should absolutely come in. And speaking of someone who hasn't come in yet, Jackster for Alpine has just been overtaken by Knights, who's made a pit stop. And both Red Bulls are still remaining not in the pit lane at all.
That is interesting. Maybe
sense.
they're extending the stint, maybe so they can do soft, medium, soft, potentially. So they might be extending for that. As
Dive bomb.
Scyther down the inside, contact with Zach off of turn 1.
Little banging there, but Stanners gets Jack as well. He's through in that place. That's Academy cars, but no love lost between Scyther and Zach there at turn 1. A little bit of contact. It's going to be Scyther's lead that he maintains now for the time being, and he was able to pull that gap over Luke once the tires started falling off for these guys in the Red Bulls.
Very aggressive move from the McLaren, I must say.
Further on back, Blue Goggy is in. He had some penalties to his name. He's going to try to find a way to at least get up on the grid with those penalties now, due to track limits.
Something I really want to see is when these medium runners will pit and what tires they go on to. Because I feel like they have a couple options.
Hard as possible.
Medium hard as possible. You can also stop on another set of mediums. So medium, soft. As do the Red Bulls pit, they still are staying out.
Coming in.
So
you're losing so much time to Scyther. Surely you're thinking you can beat Scyther some way, but I don't think this is the way to do it. Hunted gets Jexter and Luke. Josh, Gecko, they head to the pit lane. Now I want to look out for where Stanners is going to come out in comparison to these guys. You remember when I said you lose 20 seconds in the pit lane, watch what the gap is here.
Stanners is already by all 3 of them.
Easily. Wavy stays out too. Owen stays out as well. Yet to pit. Jexter's in. Mythic yet to pit too. Hunted's going fast.
So you said you lose about 20 seconds in the pit lane. Well, I can tell you right now, Stanners is 12 seconds off the lead. So he's going to have a huge gap once all these guys ahead of him pit. But I don't think it'll last for long since he's already ran 6 laps on his mediums. But you never know, there could be a safety car. That could shake things up a little bit.
Which is why I think it's so hard to see these Red Bulls continue to stay out, considering they're on the soft tires. And by the way, Luke was on the mediums. Now he's on the softs. Hunted on the softs, Jack on the softs, and Yano another pair of softs when they pitted. Red Bulls have a chance to come in, and
they finally do. Dom
is the first one.
Yeah.
He blinks first.
Don't speed.
Owen comes in too. Watch what the gap is between Stanners and Dom when he comes out of the pit lane. A set of mediums for Dom. For Owen.
Stanners is already past Dom, and Dom is gonna have to take a long trek on the pit lane, and that gap between Stanners and Dom is gonna open up. Stanners is already going into turn 2 as Dom is now just coming off the pit lane. It's about 10 seconds. He is behind Stanners right now.
And he had a decent sizable gap to Luke and can't say the same now. Also, Wavy coming out of the pit lane around the 12th, 13th place spot. He was having a good race prior, and he still is. I think Wavy is going for a one-stop here, thinking maybe that's the only way he can beat others. And Josh also on that same strategy, I believe.
It's going to be interesting to see if Josh can do anything with it, especially because I know he was running up there with Owen. So if he can make this work...
Hunted, giving the teammate the punt, and now Knight says, fine, I'll let you go.
I feel like Zach will dip into the pit lane this lap, and yes, he does.
It was inevitable. Had to do it when your teammate did. But 9 seconds. Stanners to Dom. That's how much the undercut will help you around the circuit. Our only guy not in the points is Scyther, by the way, so he's going to continue to extend. We'll see if he goes to the hards because of this or not. Gained back 12% in the pit lane, like I mentioned, or sorry, 17% earlier. 12% is Monaco, my bad. But now, with Zach coming out, he's got a fully charged battery side by side. Contact made.
And he's
Luke comes out ahead. But that is why you don't want to pit a lap too late.
Wait too long.
Right, exactly.
Now he's stuck behind
Shanghai, 3-car race here. Look at this at the back of the field. 14th place up for grabs.
But gaggle of cars back here.
3 abreast? Are we going to see 3 abreast? We are!
We are going to see 3 wide. Shanghai and Jackson go by. Mythic, and now huge set from Shanghai. And he's almost going to go around. And Jackson will get by both of them.
That Alpine Sterling speed is electric. And now Shanghai and Mythic come into contact. Don't come together, please. This has been a clean race so far. Keep the safety car free. They will. Shanghai's out ahead. Mythic yet to pit, though. And same with Scyther now, once again, yet to pit.
The gap between Dom and Stanners is now down to 7.2.
Oh, Owen, hold on. Owen's going to try to go around the outside of Knights here. He needs to gain some places on those fresher soft tires. And he feels like he's being caught up by it. And now, three-car race once again
Might
in
have
turn
another
one.
three wide moment.
Yes,
And
it
yes,
is.
we do.
Wow.
Gecko's gonna try and get them both down the turn.
Crash.
Shanghai is out.
Safety car.
Safety car is out. And Gecko did get Owen just before the safety car came out.
And guess who it takes advantage with this safety car?
Scyther and Stanners. I don't know what tire situation would be like, but this hurts the Red Bulls very much here, as Scyther will be able to pit onto a new fresh set of tires.
Shanghai shunt now means Williams. Both cars out the race.
Not good for them. Very
Had that
polar
happen
opposite
yesterday,
of Saudi
too.
Arabia.
Just check something here from Saudi, in fact from Tier 2, because I want to be sure on this right now.
Don't look now, but the gap between Scyther and Dom is 17 seconds, and under safety car, I think Scyther will be out in front of both Red Bulls.
Stanners comes in for an
What tire
extra
will it
pit
go
stop.
on to?
Softs for Scyther. Two-stop. It's going to be a two-stop here. Stanners is in.
Stanners is also in.
Hards.
Hard tires.
Looking to go the
maybe
rest of the
looking
way, potentially.
Possibly.
It's a possibility. Gecko stays out. Zach stays out. Josh does the same. He kind of has to. I mean, does this two-stop for some of these guys play into their hands now with this safety car?
I think.
And yes, you were
Scyther
correct, Dom.
absolutely does.
Behind Scyther. Yeah.
He's on fresh soft tires ahead of two of the cars he was racing, who are on slightly old medium tires. I feel like he can get a gap, and he can pit onto another set of mediums. And I think if there's no safety car, I see a pretty easy route to victory for him, which would be pretty huge. He did start, I believe, P7 in this race.
Yeah, let me see that. Yes, you're right. Josh started P10. Wavy started P14. Yeah, fair
I'd
play.
say right now, Scyther is absolutely my driver today.
So got a long way to go. Not halfway just yet, but yeah, I would say I would agree. I think the only other one I'd go close enough to driver of the day to is Wavy, though. Just because we don't see performances like him doing this very often. And
Absolutely, I think
Titan made a little joke last night about him being a safety car magnet, and you know, I hate to agree, but I do. And tonight he's kept it clean outside of the penalty stuff. It's been really good and impressive.
You know, this safety car, I feel like it does help Josh and Wavy both pitted to the hards, because now their gap to the front has significantly closed down, which will mean that the benefits they have from possibly pulling this one stopper off are going to be much more than they otherwise would be.
Also, track position is vital around this circuit. We spoke about Monaco with it being vital last night, but this circuit is similar to Monaco in terms of track position in some ways, because you have to do everything you can to hold on, and I think that's what Josh and Wavy and even Stanners, now a part of that same club in the points, is wanting to do and feeling like they're going to have to do.
I was going to say safety car would be in at the end of this lap, but Invade is way off pack, so I believe we'll be going one more after this.
Very true. Just a reminder, folks, there's 6 of you watching. If you've not hit follow on the RPL Twitch, make sure you do so. We have a poll up on the YouTube, the Instagram, and the Twitter currently about post-race interviews in the future, if that's something people want to do or think that should come back. Take a look over on our other social medias, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and vote on those polls. Therefore, we can get the public's answer on that. For those of you who do race here, don't race here, want to see it, don't want to see it, make your voice heard on that one. Also, one other reminder, we're in Miami next week for Formula Endurance. Tier 2 and Tier 1 are in the European section of the world, Spain and Britain. So we will enjoy those races next week, and I think if we do have a safety car come in this time, it would be a late one, but I don't think we're going to have that.
Yeah, I think Invade kind of may have backed off just a little bit. Because he knew we probably wouldn't catch, so he's maybe saving his tires a little bit.
Well, yeah, and he's also on the most wornest tires along with his teammate.
Second up back here.
J&T, Chiefs-Ravens game has just started, I believe. Any predictions?
Oh, football! Yeah, football! Yeah.
We'll get to watch the second quarter onwards. Being out of the.
I thought the start is at 3, so I was like, "What do you mean we're only gonna miss the first quarter?" But
Yeah,
it starts at 2.
We're gonna only miss the first quarter. So, who do you think's winning that?
There's been an interception. The Ravens have thrown an interception, and the Chiefs have caught the ball. This is not good.
Oh boy.
I'm pretty sure that was the play of the game.
Well, if that's the first play, that's not good. Okay, breaking fight alert. Ravens and Chiefs defensive backs were getting into it previous games. Some punches being thrown. All right. Well, yeah, it's going to be a chippy game then. Good to know.
CBS. Dang it! I can't stream this. I don't have CBS on my whatever streaming service CBS is.
Darn it. Well, for you Europeans, sorry to distract you there with some American football.
Guys. Football's cool.
Hey, you know who supports American football in this race that I know of? Josh. So let's see what he does. Currently in that P4 with all those penalties. Safety car is in. Invade says, I think I could have maybe had Wavy on a good lap. That was, I think, qualifying. And then just recently, oh my days, after being killed lap 1, I am back. Well, you are. And now it's time to see who takes advantage on the safety car restart. What kind of impact does Dom have on Scyther as he controls the pace Scyther does? When does he go? Safety car is into the pit lane. And he's on the gas now. He matches it. He is. Back to green flag here.
Back here in Hungary.
Yes.
Wow, like that is. He didn't win the. He's going down the pit lane wall. He won the race already.
Well, here's Luke and Josh. Little trading spots on the main straight. Further on back to Aston Martin cars losing spots. Wavy is the next one to lose a spot. How about Josh? Also with Hunted, Josh not really getting his hard tires up to temperature at all.
Hunted sends it in the turn 2, and because of that tire advantage, he's gonna get that move for P7 done. But he goes way off for some reason. I feel like he didn't need to do that.
Well, so did Josh, I think, following him there too in the dirty air.
That was interesting. Anyway, Scyther not pulling away maybe at this point as much as I thought he would, especially because fresh softs versus slightly used mediums. He goes way off track limits, being abused here early after the safety car restarts. Owen is disconnected. That is not good for him. He is
coming to PC.
He is not in a good position right now. He's in the midfield. He's going to get hounded by all these guys on hard tires. This is not good for him.
Keep in mind, he will have to face the steward's office later on. J&T, he had the collision with Hunted.
You are absolutely right about that one. As is AI, yeah, not good for him.
Race lead still up for grabs, but Scyther not going to make any moves there, but nice move coming in the midfield.
Wavy. Oh, tap! Jack almost just turned Knight's around as he tried to get a cutback to pass Wavy. That was almost. That almost ended in tears.
Oh, and Goggy! With Jexter, more bumping and banging in the midfield. That was contact with Mythic. The teammate of Invade is about to take 2 and 1, but he only took his teammate. That would have been beautiful if Invade could have got both there, but they didn't have a lot of overspeed compared to that Alpine of Jexter. And in front of that, Yano and Owen. A little ghosting session here because Owen still is trying to join back properly and take control.
Nice. Is absolutely on the gearbox of Wavy. He does not want to waste any more time stuck behind that hard runner. He's going to go down the inside. Almost wipes himself and Wavy out, trying to make the move, and he's going to let Jack Miles through.
That lunge was just not it, but keep in mind, Knights is a part of the Ferrari Academy originally, so giving that place to Jack Miles may have been the smart move, because now Jack Miles can be the one to attack Wavy. Wavy going to try to protect with Jack having the battery turned on.
Is he close enough for a move? Yes, he is. Big send, big lunge down in the turn one. A little bit argy-bargy off the exit. Gonna squeeze Wavy now down the straight. Coming in to turn 2, around the outside. More contact. He's gonna force him wide. Still side by side. Jack trying to get the move down the inside line for turn 3. And he's gonna get it done. Wavy now losing another spot. Too nice, and he has to back off.
Owen now picking up 2 spots since joining back the session, but he goes wide into the marbles in the process. He can't take the place. And while that was happening, folks, Stanners has just picked up another penalty. No! Wavy was having such a good run, and it's now come undone.
Wow. Second car today that Owen has tapped around.
Well, that's when Hunted became the punted, and Wavy
Hunted
just knifed that wall.
Hunted.
And he's still knifing the wall again. Second place up for grabs, the Red Bull teammates. Here we go. A little swapperoo between them. Zach now takes over the spot.
You'd have
Almost
to wonder
halfway
if that was coordinated, seeing if maybe Dom saw Zach was maybe a little bit faster than him at the stage. He does have 1 lap fresher tires.
Yeah, we'll find out who prevails then. Nice little battle in the midfield between Knights, Jack, and Owen. The yellow flags once again for Wavy Knife, who's hit the pit wall. JNT, you know a lot about that.
No, I don't know anything about hitting the Hungarian pit wall. I never done that in my life.
Here.
You have no evidence. You do have evidence. You do have evidence. I've sent it to you before.
I do. Sadly, I do.
Hey,
you joke about it yourself.
I know.
You joke.
I'm great at hitting pit walls, especially from the lead.
Hey, I would love to hit the pit wall too, but I haven't recently.
Would not love to hit it. It hurts hitting the pit wall, man. You don't want to hit that.
It does, and I think it hurt Wavy even more because he's about to go a lap down, which is not good.
I'm pretty surprised he didn't retire there.
I know. I thought he hit it a lot worse than that too. You know, Wavy's one of those drivers, it seems like once he hits the wall or once he gets spun out, he doesn't recover at all. I mean, Owen's recovered to 11th from 2 spins and a disconnection to the session.
As he tries to go down the inside of Jack, can he keep it clean this time as he's going to get it done clean? Back in the
argy-bargy, but it worked out. Mythic also losing a place as well in the process, the other Ferrari Academy teammate.
Don't look now, but the battle for 4th is closing up. Gecko is closing on Stanners, and Luke is closing on the pair of them.
Just read my mind. You just read my mind. We both went back to 4th at the same time.
Don't count Hunted out either. He is lurking in case these 3 come together.
And he was one who just was spun out earlier in this race in this same train before the safety car.
Great recovery, actually. Thank you for pointing that out. He is right back in the battle for 4th, which he was in earlier. Great recovery in such a short amount of time for the McLaren driver.
That does not happen often where you recover in such a short period of time, and I think the soft tires are now doing a little change here to allow Zach to catch up with the mediums being the better race tire right now.
That gap was about, at its max, about 3 seconds, but 8 laps into the stint, those tires are probably crying a little bit as Zach on his mediums making great inroads with his teammate of Dom in tow.
See how far those guys are behind Dom. Not too far behind, but they got to keep a sizable gap if they want to keep it between both Red Bulls. I know Stanners and Gecko have penalties, but I'm not ruling out the fact that Luke and Hunted can get by them. And Josh has lost that time to Hunted, so we know what the track position game is like here tonight Just got to hold on there, too. Lots of battling here. I mean, the first 6 or 7 laps of this race seemed like there was going to be no overtaking. Boring race. Even with the safety car, even without the safety car, we've had a good race nonetheless. And by the way, prior to that safety car ending, Gecko gave some praise to Owen for that good battling they had. That was a really good scrap, by the way, too.
Now, even in real life, you wouldn't think this track would be good for racing, but somehow, year after year, it just produces great racing and great racing.
Oh!
As Luke is out!
That is on the inside wall, and it's a virtual safety car.
Oh, I think he might have gotten on the curb out of the final corner and maybe lost it. I'm not 100% sure, but that is certainly not a conventional spot to crash out in. Very unfortunate. He was having a great run there, but trying to hunt down those Ferraris.
Oh, and Stanners spun under the VSC too. He just clipped the wall out of turn 3 or turn 2.
What is happening right now?
I don't think he has damage though, but that is big for a mistake from Ferrari once again. Ferrari just seeming to fuck it up like real life.
That was a big word you just used.
Yeah, don't use it often on stream.
That was big language. Gotta put the parental warning on this one.
Yeah, maybe. Might have to. VSC's staying out quite a bit, I must say. We'll see if any drivers have any issues and pick up a drive-through, and look who it is.
Out of the drive-through. That is
both Ferraris! Both Ferraris! Pick up drive-throughs!
And the Ferrari Masterclass has commenced once again. Both drive-throughs under the VSC. I don't even have words for that one, guys. I don't even have words for that.
I think George is throwing a party right now because he's probably saying, I'm glad I left TP role when I did here, because this team's just coming crashing down. 4 Ferrari Academy cars DNF'd yesterday in Monaco, and right now, 2 of them in the same span just got a drive-through. Owen made the move on the main straight. Knights is now duking it out with Josh, and Josh, part of the Ferrari Academy usually, same with Knights. They're racing for different teams today, doing better than any of their cars right now.
Now, up in the front, all of a sudden, McLaren, for the battling constructors, first and fourth now, they're looking pretty to stay on the top of those standings. Against Red Bull right now, they're in a lot better of a spot than they were just a couple of laps ago.
I cannot believe that. Both Ferraris messed themselves up of any chance of a podium, I'd say, even with penalties. I mean, surely you know how Scyther would have to pit again. Maybe they could have held on. Maybe they could have at least held on track at the bare minimum. But right now, yeah, I don't know about that. Jack Miles, though.
Yep.
I want to wonder what is going through his mind as he sees both Ferraris behind him.
The highest
Ferrari team principal
car is Jack Miles currently. So
feel bad for Jack. I'm sorry. I used to be a part of Ferrari Academy myself back when I did F2 here in season 12.
I'm
not going to say it was better then or worse now or anything along those lines, but I will say, though, I hope they can do a good recovery as Stanners does allow the teammate to go ahead, Swaparoo done there for 10th place.
Meanwhile, back up at the front, Zach is about to re-enter DRS range of Scyther. And this might get pretty close as Luke has joined on his Xbox now.
That's so funny. You know? That's like...
You want to bring him in here?
That's like... Nah, that's like a driver tweeting mid-race. I think he's coming in to like engineer Owen or someone like that. His Academy teammate and just regular teammate. Maybe he's the one off.
Martin.
He's a lap down now.
I was a bit afraid that was Josh, who is sitting 7th on those hard tires right now.
Nah, you know what I was going to say about it? I was going to say, that's funny, that's like a driver tweeting mid-race or something like that, or having their phone in their vehicle.
Yeah.
I can't believe he switched that quickly.
Tired in the pit lane.
I can't believe that. And we spoke about yesterday 4 Ferrari Academy cars out of the race. How about today 4 Mercedes Academy cars out of the race? The highest one, Owen. The second highest one, and the lowest
and
one
those
to
are
the
the
left,
only
Josh.
4 cars out.
Josh may be the only one going, you know, untouched after this race out of those cars, because Josh has not been in any incidents. Owen has. Owen's been in 2 of them. And they have a double Williams DNF. Luke is out. Wavy's out. What else is going to happen for them?
Implosion.
Probably. Chiefs and Ravens game. 7-0. By the way.
Chiefs, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Boo.
Just to put this in perspective, right? Take it this way, all right? Zach and Dom making their debuts in RPL. Zach made his last week and won on debut. Dom made his today. And Scyther, they're going up against who's a 2-time F2 champion, 2-time Tier 1 champion, and a 50-plus race winner throughout all tiers. You know, it's kind of like the experience versus the youth. That's like the Chiefs and Ravens right there, you know. The Red Bulls added up are like the Ravens with the amount of playoff experience that the Ravens have, and then the Chiefs is like Scyther with the amount of championships he has and the amount of race wins overall that he has. That's exactly what the Red Bulls are having to deal with right now.
I think Scyther was pushing a little bit that lap to try and just maybe keep Zach out of his DRS range for just a little while longer, but his efforts are in vain as Zach has now entered the DRS.
Driver's chat. Let's see what was said. Wavy said, punted and now I need to take apart my wheel. Would be a good time to take care of that. But yeah, I feel bad for Wavy because he was actually on for a really good finish, and he didn't even have the pace compared to Josh at all. Josh was, what, almost a second ahead in qualifying, and Scyther using a bit of the track on the runoff. Extending there. Could have picked up a warning.
The Red Bull straight line speed. Oh, wow. Big step by Zach to try and make up some time on Scyther there. The Red Bull straight line speed. Will it be enough down the straight to get Scyther? Scyther goes a bit wide. Could this be an opportunity? Does he take it? I don't think he will. He'll sit behind for another lap. As Gecko gets another time penalty. Both Ferraris sitting on 6 seconds of time penalties right now. As Gecko boxes.
This might be for the last time today. His teammate's going to use some battery down the straight and drain that sucker. Now, top 3 cars have pulled a gap over Hunted. It's going to be about how they manage it now as this race has calmed down.
Both Alfa Romeos, to note. Jack Miles leading Jono. They're pretty equal, I'd say, throughout this entire qualifying and race session. Just been keeping it clean, keeping it together, both figuratively and literally. And they're running 8th and 9th.
Yeah, it seems like even in Spain when they were together, wherever they are, they're always tantalizingly close to one another, and they can't get away from each other like a magnet. So, although we gave a lot of harsh criticism to Ferrari, Alfa Romeo deserves their credit too. Look where they're at in the Formula Endurance Constructors standings. They're, I believe, 4th or 5th, I want to say. Anywhere in that area. And they're doing a great job. Scyther overtaken on the main straight for the race lead. Zach now maintains possession of this race. Can Scyther intercept that now? Nope. Stays behind.
Gotta get another 3-second time penalty. Something to note is that if Gecko does not get back into the points, Jack will extend the gap from 2nd to 3rd in the championship standings from himself to Gecko.
Keep this in mind. Scyther's only finished an FE race off the podium once thus far, and Gecko's around. More trouble to his name. Had a Ferrari DNF with one car 2 times in the last 2 weeks, and it's all come at the expense of Gecko with more trouble.
Meanwhile, up front, I totally missed it, but Zach is taking the lead from Scyther.
Yeah, I was just saying that. I missed it too. My apologies, folks.
I feel like it was just an easy DRS move.
It was.
Maybe,
but
possibly.
I was just I was just saying with Scyther, the only race he was off the podium was Silverstone, and he was penalized there in the storage room, and I won't be surprised to see him come in again at some point here. Gecko around again.
I think Gecko's gonna retire here.
Yeah, he's got a lot of problems. He's gonna be a lap down soon. Scyther trying to hold on for second place now because Dom is the one pressurizing him. Can he keep it out of turn number 1? Yes. And now to corner number 1 behind that. Knights and Josh, a little ding-dong battle here for 6th place. Josh will get the pieces over Knights. And Knights looks to do a cutback.
Yeah, I think his hard tires might be coming in against the mediums a little bit to the point where they might be a little better at this stage.
Maybe. Josh is doing a really good stint, though. And so is Invade on those very worn hard tires compared to the other ones who are on hard tires. And more yellow flags for Gecko.
The next thing I think that we're going to be looking at in this race is that when Scyther boxes onto his, presumably, set of medium tires for his final stint, how much will the undercut help him against his race for the Red Bulls, who I will assume are going with the soft tires for their final stint?
Gecko is into the pits, going to hards to try to make the rest of this race without a spin. You're right about strategy. I'm interested to see how it goes. Assuming Scyther does pit now, you lose, I said, what, 17 seconds in the pits? Was that sound about right?
17 seconds was under safety car.
Okay, 17 under safety car. 20
well,
under green
probably
flag.
14 or 13 under safety car.
Yeah, 20 under green flag, so he'd come out around Yano. But I don't know if that's where he'd want to come out, though, just because Jack and him are close, and that's not going to help him at all. And then once he overtakes them two, he's in a battle with Josh and Knights, which I know Josh is part of the Merc Academy and going to try to do everything he can to hold on to spots, but do I really expect him to battle Scyther, though?
Invade and Jackster over in the pit lane. Jackster is onto a new set of mediums. And the Invade, I'd assume, would be going mediums as well, as yes, he does.
Stanners, another corner cutting penalty. That is number 3.
The DRS right now for Scyther really helping him out, both in terms of extending the gap to get himself coming out in clear air, as Zach has a brain fart moment. He literally just drives onto the grass.
Scyther followed him,
what that was about.
I don't know what that was about from him either. Scyther did the same exact thing right afterwards.
The track had a glitch in the matrix.
Josh and Knights with another battle on the main straight. Oh, a little bit of moving and bobbing and weaving, and now it's going to be the switcheroo from Knights.
DRS. He might be alongside going into turn 2, but they'll think better of it to not cause a collision. Oh.
Yep. This is exactly what Scyther's going to have to face once he pits. And when he does he want to come out in the middle of it? Does he want to come out behind it? Well, right now, you'd come out right behind the Knights and Josh battle, maybe just ahead of Jack. Maybe right behind Jack.
Not somewhere where you want to be, I don't think.
I think you want to be ahead of both Alfa Romeos, but you don't want to be behind these guys either. I think you're going to have to settle for being behind these two, but ahead of both Alfa Romeos, and Scyther does not come in, but I expect him to continue to extend to maybe go mediums the rest of the way, or is he extending to go another set of softs because he's liked his tires so much?
I actually don't think it's either. I think he's extending so that he can build a gap to be ahead of the Aston when he comes out.
Well, what tire did Scyther start on? He started on the mediums, then he was on the softs, so, I mean, he's going either soft, medium, we know that. Can he make the rest of the way? Probably not. If he somehow did, that'd be impressive. But
he might be able to go soft. He's on 20 laps. I mean, he might, but I don't.
He can make this stint work to where he extends so much to where he has to go another pair of softs and can't go mediums just because he wouldn't have the pace to be anywhere close to this top 2, top 3 area he is now. I don't know. But fair credit to Zach's second start. Kept it clean. I know he had the contact with Scyther, but that was on Scyther's end, not his. And Dom, first start for him, has been penalty worthy and also with a clean car.
Everything seems to be staying stable at the moment. The only cars really who are close together that would do in battle is Knights and Josh.
That's really the only battle right now, but where is Scyther going to come out now? He would come out much farther ahead of Jack, but still behind Knights. I think this is what he's trying to do, and I don't know if he realizes it himself or not, but, I mean, we're aware of it in the commentary box. The fact that, by the way, Stanners is in. He'd want to be ahead of Josh and Knights, and Stanners retires in the pit lane. That's very odd, because that's now going to give Mythic the point spot for 10th. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we actually have a race on our hands for a backmarker car to take some surprising points here tonight.
Goggy somehow found himself racing for points on route, trying to go around the outside of Mythic. He's going to keep it very close there. Through turn 2. Oh my God, goes around. Big contact between him and Mythic. Mythic's going to keep the spot. Big close racing here for 10th, as it might not even be over, as Mythic goes very wide at a turn 5. Hunted is in, and Nice is in for what could be their final stops of the race.
Well, yeah, Blue Goggy may actually have a chance here if a safety car does come out, because he's not anywhere near getting lapped, but he's also in this battle with Mythic for the thick of things. Jackster right behind who he was battling prior. Knights in for softs, Hunted in for hards. We'll see what happens from that. Who prevails? Well, give us your thoughts. Here's Blue Goggy. Mythic holding on for now. Goggy weaving and bobbing. Goggy around the outside line. Going to be compromised by turn 1 exit. Push onto the curb.
On the exit, he's going to have the
Rear wing
DRS
open
to assist him in this move, as Jackson's inviting himself into this battle very close to turn 2. Jackson on the curb. He's by Mythic. And big run for Jackson off the hill. Will he try and get by Goggy?
No.
Really just trying to fake him out 3 times there before turn 4.
Dom is in, and now the lead is at stake. The lead is now going to be regained by Scyther. Scyther takes back the top spot, and now Zach wants to retake it too. But Scyther will settle for the top spot by turn number 2.
I have a feeling this battle for 10th isn't over.
I have a feeling as well. We have a Alfa Romeo battle on the main straight with DRS, but no overtaking.
Whoa!
Here's Jackster trying to
over here for Ghana right there.
Goggy on much more worn mediums. Jackster on fresher mediums. Jackster gonna try a cut back here. It does work out for the time being. And Jackster will take the place momentarily. And Goggy gonna cut back in behind, almost come in a collision, but Jackster has to brake late to hold on to that.
Something I'm very curious to see is if these hard runners will go to the end.
Zach is in.
Looking at the amount of time, and Zach is
Sorry to cut in.
Interesting.
Wow.
I'd like to see what tires they go on.
Let's see what Dom does, because Dom pitted the lap prior and has a chance to pull off the undercut here.
Come out. Yeah, I have a feeling Dom will come out into the lead of the race.
By
the question is by how much? As
a second.
They both go on to mediums, as Zach has jumped Scyther in the pit lane.
Here's Dom on the main straight, gonna pick off both of them. It's going to be leader Dom in RPL. Now Scyther has to try to find a way past Zach because they're now trailing Dom by 3 seconds almost. That undercut was powerful. Oh my. Hunted and DRS Yano. No DRS for 10th place now with Jackster taking that. And oh, Hunted gives Yano the punt. And Hunted squeezes him under the curb. And Yano has to use the escape road. Oh my. I wonder, JNT, are you still there?
A little bit.
Alright, well, I need to go AFK for 2 seconds.
Owen, right now for the on-track race lead. Ahead of Dom, who set the fastest lap. Very curious to see where and when Dom will overtake. Maybe right here on this mini straight before turn 2, and he will get the move done.
Fair play to Dom. Jack Miles is in. Josh looking to extend, I think. Yano looking to extend. Tire wear does become a big factor here, but I don't know if it'll be enough for these hard guys to get a puncture. If it's going to be anybody, we know it's going to be Josh. Wavy would have been in the mix of that, but he's not anymore in this, or not in this race anymore, excuse me. We have 5 runners who've left us. Thought we would have had a 6 with Gecko, but I'm glad he's still staying in this, even being a lap down. Owen, I do expect him to pit soon on those 24 lap worn mediums.
I definitely expected him to come in soon, especially since right now he's just bleeding time.
And if he does come in, he will come out right behind Knights and ahead of Jack. Knight's the only runner on soft tires, and now Owen, with staying out, gives DRS to Zach. Josh comes in, Zach goes past, but does Scyther go past now in the braking zone? No, he does not. What does Owen do now with Scyther? Does he hold on by turn 2? Does Scyther use DRS to his advantage? He does. Owen didn't have DRS at all because remember, out of that final corner, it's a double detection point, which Scyther took advantage of massively.
Absolutely. I'm very curious to see how this plays out because Dom got the undercut. And that gap, it's staying very stagnant right now.
Let's find out if Zach and Scyther can both gain on Dom. Zach is using this critically to get Scyther out of DRS. 2.6 the gap. It was 2.9. Actually, it was 3.1 to be exact. And he's now going purple in the second sector.
He's about to drop it out of DRS from Zach. He has to really push in this third sector to keep in.
Yes.
I think he barely got it there. Yes, he did.
Fastest lap goes to Zach. Scyther with less than 10% on his ERS. Zach on 21 and Dom managing it well at 46. Waiting for Zach to pounce and get closer to use that battery. If he can win on debut, that'd be the second driver to win on debut for a second straight week. That'd be incredible.
Battle for 8th. Possible position changes. Jack Miles and Josh H. Could get really close down here in the turn 1. Jack going for the fake, trying to catch Josh a little off guard. I don't think anything will come of it here, though. Bless you.
Excuse me. Getting a little spicy there, though, for P8, as you were saying. And I just want to note one thing here between Jack and Josh. Jack, almost twice the amount of battery. Knights and Yano, that's a battle for P6. Owen's still staying out, which will become Haunted's P4. What else do we got here? Invade and Mythic. Turn 2. Invade gonna try a move around the outside line. Couldn't do it.
Try the switch back. I don't think he will. Yeah. Stay behind.
Oh!
Or he's gonna ride the curve. Bottom out.
That's not good. Up in front of that, Knights is now on Yano, who is losing tons of time on those hard tires. And around the outside of the last corner, he's going to hold his ground and be forced off.
Oh.
That got treacherous, and now Knights will try to recover that by turn 1, Schumacher-Barrichello style, toward the pit lane. But now, around the outside is Knights going to try this one more time. Can he keep it by turn 1? Yano has a little wiggle, and that allows Knights to pick up P number 6.
I wonder how far Yano's willing to take these hard tires. Because he's not in any threat.
Right.
No, he's under threat to lose 10th to Jaxter right now.
Because Josh didn't take those hard tires too long. He didn't go the rest of the race. He went on the mediums. Here's how many steps everyone made on their screens now. Oh, little dummy at turn 1. It's Mythic being used up a little bit there by Invade, but Invade will take the place for P12. Not any points there, but having a nice little scrap there in the thick of things, both of them. Mythic, the only guy in this race still on 1 stop, everyone else on either 2 or 3.
The gap between Zach and Dom has come down by another 0.4 of a second since last checked up on it. Scyther has dropped back another half a second from when he lost DRS to Zach. So Scyther really needs to get on with it if he wants to stay in this battle for the win. As Yano does box, let's see where he comes out relative to Jaxta, and he will lose out on track for that position.
Chiefs touchdown, by the way.
Oh, really?
I know.
Why?
Leighton and Liam won't like us for that. We're not Chiefs fans. That's the only place we're going to show our bias. No bias for our commentary box tonight. But 2 DRS battles now? I don't really fathom why Owen is still continuing to stay out. It's not working.
I don't really understand this either, I'm going to be honest. Maybe he's planning to go on softs at the end and regain all these positions.
I mean, the safety car put these guys into an absolute must for a 2-stop. And some went to go for a 3-stop. But now, Hunted is picking up the pieces around the outside, and his place will not be contested this easily. Hunted, still not clear of Owen. Owen, we're going to go back down the inside.
Stay committed, gives a bit of a punt to Owen as the leader. Dom has picked up a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, Hunted almost became the punted, and now our race leader, you just said in the penalty club, this is not good. He's going to have to extend the gap over Zach, and now add Scyther to the list soon here because he's almost in 3 seconds. Or sorry, yeah, he's almost in 3 seconds. Excuse me, sorry.
A lot just happened there.
Yeah, it did.
Owen surely isn't taking these mediums at the end.
No, he can't. He surely has to pit, and if he doesn't, he's just going to lose time. I mean, he can't hold on to P5 for now, but still.
Very curious to know what he's thinking running out there for that long. Now he's coming in.
Good. So is Mythic too.
For the softs. This is going to be pretty interesting in the closing laps, though, because he's going to be on a fresh set of what I presume will be soft tires against all these guys and slower cars on mediums.
AlphaTauri battle for P11 goes to Invade. Invade is finding some pace now. Owen, since he pitted, by the way, and add Gecko to that too, but not for the scrap for P5, Owen is probably just expecting to have a chance to make a run for P5 by the end. And by the way, Scyther lost out on Zach by 3 seconds for a moment. Something happened to Scyther. to allow him to lose
I
out.
think that's probably the nail in the coffin for his race if something major doesn't happen.
I'm going to turn the tires off because we don't really need them anymore. I don't think we're going to see any more pit stops here unless it's from Blue Goggy. But with that being said, most places gained since the start. Blue Goggy, 19th to 12th.
I think it's just a byproduct of a lot of retirements. A lot of those guys down starting in the lower spots, keeping it somewhat clean, and not crashing out.
I will say, due to Scyther's mistake, it does give Dom the chance to pull out a 3-second gap over Zach a little bit more now than before, and it does allow a lot more breathing space, not just with Zach, but also with Scyther, because Scyther's not getting within 3 seconds anytime soon. But Scyther doesn't need to overpush it a lot either. He's the championship leader over Jack and Gecko by now quite the margin. And you have to wonder what Ferrari struggles today. Red Bull running 1-2, McLaren running 3-4. That surely does become the constructors' lead here. So it looks like a lot of consistency here between Josh and Knights, with at least maintaining DRS on one another, but depending on who is in front. Also, with that being said, oh, okay. I might lose game 7 then soon, too. I think we lost game 7 on Portimao late in the race, so wouldn't be a first. And by the way, we spoke about Owen not too long ago, JNT. Look at where he's at. He's the closer right now. He's up to 8th place within DRS. I mean, well, he already was 8th place, and I've just lost game sound, too.
And there it is.
We can go the rest of this race without game sound, right? Well, we got a move being made on the main straight. Josh up in front of Knights, and now Jack Miles.
5th. Yellow
Safety
flag.
VSC. VSC. Gecko's around. He has pulled some sort of Vettel Perez-like spin from 2014 in this exact spot that they did.
I don't know if Jacksta is in. He is trying to take advantage of this virtual safety car going on the softs.
He may actually get something out of it, too. He just may. Still a VSC, no safety car. Does this help Dom or Zach? That's what I do wonder. Who gets helped more out of this? Goggy comes in, he had to, or else he wasn't going to make the end of the race.
Dom is pitting from the lead.
Drive through for Mythic. Drive through for Mythic. Dom is in, as you said. Also, drive through for Jackster.
Very interesting call.
So that's going to cost him points. With that being said, that it costs him points, now give it to Invade, who will take the point spot once Jackster comes in. So Invade gets rewarded.
The final corner. Will he come out in front of Dom? Oh, he won't. Dom will have clear. No, yes, he will. He will come out in front of Dom.
Wow. Dom going to be costed by this, even with the penalty, surely. I'm surprised. I really am.
He is going to have to really push if he wants to make anything of this. He's going to have to get by Hunted, Scyther, and Zach. All three. He has to make up the time, and he has to get by them in a very efficient manner, and then pull a 3-second gap.
And if he can do that, that would be impressive. I know he's going to have to make the most of these soft tires. He did do it at a right time, because those soft tires won't be too long by the end of it. Oh, and Jack Miles, little scrap by turn 4. Sorry to miss that for a moment, but Jack Miles has to concede the spot. Jackster is in from the drive-thru, by the way.
Dom down the inside of Hunted. Going into Sector 3, they're side by side. Hunted is going to concede the position.
And
That's probably smart.
Missing out on these battles a little bit. I'm just catching them at the last moment. My bad, folks. Dom now needs to have the lead by a 19-second gap, but gain 19 seconds, excuse me, in the next 11 laps. Is it possible? Maybe if these medium tires do wear off, but he needs that to happen quite quickly. Riding on board with Owen.
20. All right, so 28-4 in the first sector by Zach. Let's see what Dom does in the first sector.
Good thinking. Scyther 28-6, Dom
27-7.
You
So
said a
it's
what?
7/10 in the
4?
first sector.
That's good enough for me, at least, to see if he can do this, but he needs to extend a 3-second gap with it, so we'll find out if it happens. The AlphaTauri of Balugagi, I believe, getting out of the way. Yes. Invade's about to be lapped.
I can tell you right now,
points runner.
Since the start of this lap, it's not even over, but Dom is close to second on Scyther.
Interesting.
18-8 for our race leader, and I assume Dom will come around and set the fastest lap of the race.
19-0 for Scyther, by the way, so he's only 2/10 off Zach again.
16-9-3-9 for Dom.
Better, which is exactly what he needs.
Fastest.
It's not the fastest because Zach had it at a 16-8. Scyther has a best of 17-4. Owen has a best of 17-0. Since this race has calmed down, folks, I just want to mention as Jexter's back
passing all those cars.
Yeah, I know. He's exactly where he should be. He's 5th, and maybe he actually has a chance for 4th now. I want to say...
I think he will have to extend a gap, though, because maybe post-race penalties.
Yes, you're correct. Yup. 2 collisions, too. By the way, to put this in perspective, folks... Oh, hold on. Invade and Jexter. Jexter gets the place. They're both being lapped, though. Both have penalties as well. Same amount as well. Just to put in perspective, folks, I just want to mention as now... Let's do a lap time check quickly before I mention it. I was going to mention driver of the day. 18-9 for Zach. Scyther comes across the line to set an 18-9. Was 400s better. And now Dom only 3/10 down on that second sector right there. It is going to be a 17-3, so better, but not by a staggering margin, though, either. If he can pull off this victory, I'd give Dom driver of the day. If not, I don't really know who to give driver of the day to. I mean, Jack's had a decent performance. Josh has had a decent performance, but I don't think it's been that impressive enough for driver of the day. It's tough. It's really tough. Because Jack has had a good race for Alfa Romeo. Josh has had a decent race, but I feel like it's to be expected for Aston Martin a little bit, considering what he showed yesterday. I want to give it to someone who's not, doing something that's not expected. So it's really tough.
If Zach does win this race, he will be second in the driver's standings.
2. Yeah. First repeat winner of FE he would be. Same with Scyther. So, yeah.
I'm starting to really not agree with this call from Dom.
Well, he's got 9 more laps to make the most of it. And he's closing the gap on Scyther, doing exactly what he needs to do. But he's not doing it at a timely rate. 17.5 that time, just 5/10 off. So obviously he's going to lose time. And he was always going to lose time anyway when he put on these soft tires. But he can't lose this amount of time at this amount of rate he is, which is the problem.
Especially with 9 laps to go. Not a whole lot of time.
Reese, I know you've made note of it. I'm aware. No game audio. We lost game audio, both of us, I think, 6 laps ago.
Lap 55, I think.
Yeah, I was like 2 or 3 laps after for me, so we did lose game audio. I tried pausing it and unpausing it. I'm not going to come back into the game and try to get it. The same thing happened at Portimao when it was raining. So, yeah. Unfortunate, but Dom, using all of the track to his advantage there, using that runoff, didn't gain anything from it. And I think this call does become a little questionable now. More by the lap, only gaining a second that time. That's not what he needs. He needs to gain just about 2 seconds or at least 1.5 per lap if he wants to make this happen. And keep in mind, like real life 2021 when Hamilton was trying to get to Ocon, Alonso defended for him, I mean, we know Dom can get this gap down to Scyther, and he could pass him and extend a 3 second gap, but I don't think the same could be said for Dom on Zach, though, and you got to actually factor in how much does Dom lose when he gets behind Scyther.
Absolutely, I think.
Well, now it's time to find out if he can do so by lap 65, and by doing so, it would be getting within a 3 second radius. Therefore, at least has a chance with these tires dying off in the upcoming stages. No one with any chance of DRS. This race has got quite dull, to say the least, but we're happy it wasn't as dull as the first 6 laps were. That's for sure. Off Westy, that's a name I've not heard in a while.
Were you talking about the hunted Owen thing?
I was not too long ago because Owen has gained within penalty range of hunted almost, and he's gonna have to continue to extend that because the steward's office will be hearing his name quite soon too. But yeah, if Zach can win, like we said, he would become the first repeat Formula Endurance winner, and I don't know what his availability is looking like on a Friday or a Saturday for Tier 2 or Tier 1, but I feel like Cryptic or Cookie, the team principal and co-team principal of Red Bull, will be calling his name, surely, with that being said, because he's doing these guys wonders here in FE. And this time, compared to Scyther, it will be a 1-2 in comparison to last week for the second straight week in a row. But Scyther is in a different car. And for second of all, Zach doesn't have anything calling his name as well in the steward's office this time because he's kept it clean and proving that last week was just a one-off for those collisions.
Dom has the gap down to 3.5 seconds to Scyther. So we could possibly see Dom maybe get the lead on track. Very possibly.
It is a possibility.
I think that's the most he would be able to do. I don't think he would be able to extend the 3 seconds.
But see, now Scyther's just set a 19.4. Let's see what Dom is doing. A 17.9. So 1.5 over Scyther. That's exactly what he needs to get Scyther here. But he needs to do a lot more to get Zach here in the closing stages of this race. If he wants the lead on track in the next 5.5 laps, he's going to have to gain 1.2, 1.3 at least to get the lead on track by the end. Now, does he appeal the penalty, though, becomes the question. I don't think so. But, you know, that's always something to factor in with some of these guys who end up picking up corner-cutting penalties.
Towards the bottom end of the points, both Alfa Romeos still sitting pretty 7th and 9th. Got Knights in 8th. Nissan tires. Josh, another 2 days in a row. 2 amazing runs for him. He is currently sitting in 6th. Outside the points, it's both AlphaTauri and Mythic in the Haas. Not too much surprising there.
Well, I am going to bet on Owen extending a 3-second gap over Hunted quite much more easier than Dom doing the same thing on Zach. Dom has cut the gap down to 1.5. Hunted was about to get DRS here on the lap car of the AlphaTauri in front. However, we're finally going to see a DRS pass here once again in this race. Hunted using the battery. He is turning on all the jets. So is Owen. So level playing ground here. Drag race to turn 1. Hunted moving around a ton. But now Owen is down the inside. Here he goes using the curb right there side by side. Hunted has to concede the place, but I think he'll get it either way later on in the steward's room from that contact earlier that Owen had with him and then Wavy.
Dom has gotten himself within DRS range of Scyther. And I feel like down the main straight, this will be a pretty easy move for him. As he gets another 3-second time penalty because of the dirty air.
That's going to do it. Darn. I was hoping that he could at least give us a show with that, but now I don't think that's going to happen. I will say, For a debut, I give him credit, though, because he's done a good job. Here he goes on the
Hard,
main straight, though.
half of it is pace, half of it is how clean and how good you can keep your car on track while doing it. And unfortunately, Dom, while he has had the pace, needed to clean it up on track limits just a little bit.
Here's my opinion now. Try to find a way to force Scyther into a 3-second. You don't have to do everything to do so by holding him up, but just find a way. Find a way to do so. He got by him. Dom has no battery. Scyther has lots more battery. He saved up a ton compared to where he was at prior. So Scyther can still keep him at bay here of not extending a 6-second gap or even a 3-second gap if he appeals one of them.
Dom has used all of the battery trying to get away from Scyther. It's just, I don't think if you're in this position, there's much you can do more as he goes off again.
Zach still leads by 4.1. Dom is closing the gap, but I think it's too little too late. We're coming to 3 laps to go this time. Zach, last week, ended up taking out 2 competitors. Got penalized for it, fairly enough from the stewards. But with that being said, he's proven this week was not the same way, reputation-wise. Last week was a fluke, and now he just needs to hold on for 3 more laps and keep it mistake-free. He is really going to be ringing up some team principals here for either a loan or a full-time seat in the near future. And he could become our first repeat Formula Endurance winner tonight in just 5.5, 6 more miles here around the circuit.
One thing that Dom is doing, he's dragging Scyther a little bit up to Zach. It really won't matter, but Scyther is sticking with him. As Zach gets a 3-second penalty,
So now
it will matter. Because
Scyther,
now, if Dom drags Scyther up, Scyther might be able to win off of penalties.
now Dom has to play this tactically. Scyther has more battery than Dom as well, and all that battery he was saving for a long time is going to help him here. And what kind of assist can Dom provide? Penultimate lap underway now. Blue flags, which will lead to... I thought Dom would have got DRS, but he won't. Scyther still will, even if he wasn't in a second. And now the battery is being drained down the main straight.
He's using all of it. He knows that if he just needs 1 second to close to get that victory, he is pushing it. He is staying with the Dom, who has the pace to maybe drag him up. This is going to be very close, I think, at the end here.
Well, we saw a race in Tier 1 in Season 9 that was nearly won by penalties. Scyther, in fact, a former Hungary winner. He has one winner on the circuit before. Trying to make it.
As I think Dom's backing him up a little bit.
Yeah, he's going to have to. He has no other choice. And Scyther is right on the back of his gearbox as we're about to reach the final lap here. Can Dom do what Alonso did for Ocon in real life and help out his teammate right here? It won't be a 1-2 by the current running order, but it can at least be a Red Bull winning for a 3rd week in a row and taking over the constructors' lead safely.
4 seconds the gap between Scyther and Zach as he starts the final lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Scyther within DRS still of Dom. He's going to have a nice slipstream. He's going to gain a bunch of time here down the main straight, closing the gap. 3.6, 3.5 seconds as Dom goes wide.
Whoa! Scyther needs to take advantage now. Which way does he go? Dom cuts him off. This is going to get tricky, and Dom still playing the blocking game, holding on. We also have Blue Gog into the pit lane. We have Yano and Knights in a DRS train battle there for P8 still along. But the gap needs to come down now for Scyther in order to get this race win. It's not coming down just yet because Dom is playing the protection game here for Red Bull.
Dom is doing his teammate Zach a solid, backing Scyther up through the middle sector. I don't think there's any shot of Scyther beating Zach now as he starts through the third sector. He has put on a beautiful display of driving today. He's held off
Scyther, hold on.
Scyther and
Hold
Dom
on.
Scyther down the inside of
Scyther
Dom,
gets
but
him.
it's too little too late.
Zach is
As
now
through the
heading
final
into the
corner.
final corner, and he is going to become the first Formula Endurance repeat winner. Zach can share that to himself with winning the Hungarian Grand Prix, proving last week with the collisions it was a fluke. Scyther holds on for second, Dom third. Dom losing out on track as well. We still have racing going on between the rest of the field.
A 5-second gap to Hunted.
Yes, so he does.
So that could be important.
Hold on there. Josh was not the one around. That was someone else. That was an AlphaTauri. Sorry about that.
Meanwhile, Yano in the closing laps has caught Nice and repassed for 8th.
Fair play to Zach, by the way, today winning over Scyther. Dom on the podium, completing that in his debut start. Kudos to him. Josh, kudos to him for P6. Hunted P5, Owen P4. Jack is P7. And now it's a fight to the line between Yano and Knights, and Yano will hold on. Blue Goggy, no front wing to end this race.
As is typical. Well, it's been a really good race, I'd say. Pretty entertaining. Some drama towards the end. My driver of the day, I still gotta give it to Scyther. After starting so low and having with a worse car, battling through some adversity, trying to push at the end. If he didn't get held up by Dom, may have had a chance to get the win, but still absolutely amazing that he got P2 and was up there since the 20th about lap of the race. After starting where he did, he's still my driver of the day.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I really do, because you know what? The McLaren car around here, and keep in mind for you folks who are not aware, it's a realistic performance league, so the fact that the Red Bulls won, 1-3, not a surprise there, but it's the fact that Scyther kept it within striking distance the entire time with a McLaren car that should be a little further back. So yeah, he's doing the right thing, and they've had one car in the top 5 now 5 of the last 6 races, and Scyther, a 5th podium. Zach becomes the 2nd driver to get multiple podiums in the Formula Endurance tier, and Dom, the 13th different driver to have a podium in Formula Endurance. Red Bull 1-3 for the 2nd week running.
Red Bull will take back the lead of the constructors' standings, I believe.
Yes, they will have it for the first time in Endurance, meaning they've led the constructors' standings now in all tiers with their academy.
Yeah, McLaren and Red Bull will re-overtake Ferrari as they score no points from Gecko and Stanners, who finished 14th and 15th, both DNF'd.
Final results here up in front of your screens. 6 DNFs here during this race. 5 stops made from Gecko, not the race from him, from your championship competitor, meaning Jack Miles will now extend a gap over him. Jack still held on for 10th, making it a double Alpine points for them. Fair play there. Yeah, Scyther driver of the day, easily for me. I think that's fair. I agree. Yeah, I can't disagree there. I really find it hard to do so. Just simply because not only where he started, but also the fact that he ended up doing that in a very careful manner to have a chance at the end, even with wheel problems. He was mentioning losing to 3 seconds at one point. You could always factor in a big what if that never happens, but that is also part of the race. He just ended up losing so much due to that wheel problem that cost him 4 seconds. And yeah, maybe a what if, maybe a heartbreak for him, but congrats to Zach, the race winner. Congrats to Dom, a first-time podium sitter on his debut. Welcome to RPL. Scyther, championship lead by over 50 points now over Jack and Gecko. You surely have to be happy with that one if you're Scyther.
Update on the driver's standings going in the next week. Scyther leading. Zach would be 2nd, and I believe Hunted overtakes both Ferraris because they DNF. He will be 3rd in the championship.
So now it's time to tell you all, folks, where we are next week. Next week, we are going to be racing in Tier 2 in Britain to start off on Friday. F1 Tier 1 is in Spain. And Formula Endurance on the Sunday, once again, same time as always, is in Florida, in Miami. We'll find out who comes out on top in those races, folks. But until next time, your commentators, Ryan Searles, JNT Gaming, will be signing off tonight. Make sure to tune into our socials for other posts, such as full races, additional content, race highlights, etc. Until next time, folks, we will see you next week for more RPL racing. But good night, folks. We'll see you then.